test. Okay? This is to me very straightforward. That's also the basics you need to do. And actually with this basic, you're off to go, you can go off to work. All the other classes you study here to make you a better designer, better programmer, more specialized in something. Do your job better. It's optimization, not fundamental. This is fundamental. Can you carry out this simple task like this? All right? What is reward for maintenance? It's actually typically a thankless job. So you're dealing with disgruntled users. User problem also caused by individual who were the developer before. The code itself may be badly written. Actually, nobody actually most of us just want to write new code rather than modifying somebody else's old code, right? But you have to realize that's going to be the reality. The chance you are going to start a fresh new project like ours is close to zero. Okay? The first job you got probably going to be like what I have offered you at the beginning of the class. Here is a piece of shady code and a bug report. Where you go? Right? If a buffer overflow, you should be like, oh, great, thank God. I'm lucky. If a design error, sorry, there's no documentation. You have to chase down those impatient old engineers, or even younger than you in some cases, right? Really impatient, right? So that is actually the real life. Okay? So your job, your ethical responsibility is to provide the minimum, the very minimum, for somebody else to take over your job if you leave. Okay? Certainly, if you feel disgruntled and you don't want to check in your code, I mean, nobody can actually stop you for doing that. If you are not in that shoe, you should provide the minimum documentation, and minimum would be your regression test suite, right? Together with your code, all checked into something called a repository, not a tar file, not a zip file, okay? Certainly, it's the responsibility of your project lead and your manager to enforce all these policies, but we have an ethical minimum responsibility too, right? So it's actually post-UAM maintenance the most important job and also most challenging job. Why it's challenging? A lot of time, main thing because you are actually working on somebody else's code. It's not your code, not your design, okay? Then worsened by lack of documentation, okay? Lack of information, so make it notoriously bad job to deal with. But you have to deal with it. This is more reality than anything else. How can this be changed? Right? So actually this should just be attitude. One thing is DevOps. Hey, your bonuses, your stocks are linked to your performance in terms of maintaining the services. I don't care who you assign to the job, but if you don't do a good job, you're not getting your money, right? That is actually putting your team on notice. If you don't maintain your code well, if you don't maintain your service well, you are not getting paid, right? That is core thing. That is how people today, if they are staying in the team for a long run, actually those programmers who are in the team earlier, have been staying in the team for a long time, they will actually enforce all these policies by reviewing your code and say, I'm not going to say yes, so you can't check in your code until you bring your code, documentation, and regression test suite to this standard. If I don't think you have 100% coverage, as I can imagine, I'm not going to say yes. If I don't think you have a good code quality following all our coding style, I'm not going to say yes. Actually, so I have the situation when somebody have done an internship, before they go, they haven't checked in any of our code. Because their code is not up to the standard, and this guy is not checked in any of our code. You know that the review coming with that wouldn't be great. Wouldn't be great, right? So basically, you got blocked because you are not meeting the standard. You can complain and say, "Oh man, this standard is unrealistic or bad." That's a different story. That could happen, but more likely than not, you're not bringing it up to the right quality. Okay? If that's the case, your internship is in deep water. Okay? If you are now checking code, you got blocked for such a long time, then your internship becomes very questionable. Okay? So remember, good documentation, minimum, but you have to provide good documentation. Code, good coding style, and the coding standards, regression test suite, and GitHub. Check in all the time, all the time, all the time. Really pay attention to other people's comments and review when you are doing code review, because it's only going to be bad if you don't follow them, right? So that is essentially how we actually. If you look at it seems like we're doing so much random thing in software engineering, but we can manage to deliver large-scale software system. You know what? By this kind of very basic things. Not by something like, oh, we have a great trick in implementing one of the algorithms. No. Actually getting all the jobs done in our software industry, mainly because we are actually enforcing this minimum software engineering processes. Okay? It's not somebody say, oh, I have a great idea of implementing this. Yeah, that doesn't help if you can't get it right. Okay? This is where we got our manage. Just like I mentioned, 85% of all surgery room deaths are actually saved by checklists, not by some great doctor or some great medical equipment. It's actually by people following the rule. Okay? Minimizing cross-contamination, infection by washing their hands 3 times. Okay? Not by saying, okay, we have this great equipment from GE, which saved a lot of people. They did. But 85% actually saved by just running through the checklist like our checklist used in their final exit interview. Okay? That is actually enforcing those kind of things actually is why our big boat, although very leaky, is still afloat. Right? This is how software engineering process. Right? So it looks very arbitrary when everybody can implement any algorithm, but still we are moving along, developing new software system every day, mainly because we are enforcing this kind of minimum software engineering standard. Okay? Your repository, your test-driven development, so your code review, and all these things are actually what save our industry from making horrible failures. Okay? We'll finish up the rest of the chapter on Thursday. Let's look at our second to last.
Before we do that, I had a question about the test plan.
Okay.
Are we supposed to submit the code we're using to do the testing along with the?
No.
Okay, no.
Your code used for testing should be in your final repository. This is just describe what path you're going to do on.
Okay.
How you're going to do it should be in the code and should be checked in your repository. Great question. That's exactly what we talked about here. Okay, we have two more left, then that will be it. Okay, again, we are funding this on lead code. This is number 1. All right. Given a binary tree and a sum, determine if the tree has a root to leaf path such that adding up all the value along the path equal to the sum. A leaf is a node with no children. Okay. Here is an example. Basically, your test cases. This is a simple question, a simple challenge, and the problem you're going to see in our test would not be more difficult than this. Would not be more difficult than this. Okay? So this is for you to write your code with a clear defined interface, apply the test cases, which is your regression, make sure they pass. Okay?